Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. You made it through yet another week. Hope everything is going good for you. It was a tremendously productive week for me here. And looking forward to tomorrow, as tomorrow is Jacktown Steam Show, the tractor show in beautiful Bangor, Pennsylvania. I will be there from daybreak until noon. If you happen to be in the area, you will love this show. So, more about it, I'll have a link in the description. If you, like I said, if you're anywhere near Bangor, it's just a nice drive, nice time to go. It's going to be good weather. Looking forward to it. We have a bit of a mosh to do today. I got to clean up some of the things that were on my phone. I got a little story to tell you. You know, yesterday I was searching the channels. As I'm answering comments, I leave the TV on in the background. And what came on was an old-fashioned movie that I grew up with, called Them. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. It was such a well-done movie. The movie was made in 1954. It starred James Arness, you remember him from Gunsmoke, and James Whitmore. Now, there's a star that you don't usually hear too much about, but James Whitmore was a great character actor. He was in a ton of movies back then, former Marine, and he really looked every part of it. The guy, he was just a rough and tumble looking guy. And the funny thing about it was when I was growing up seeing that movie, not to be a spoiler in case you haven't seen it and you want to see it, but a nuclear bomb takes place in the White Sand Deserts over in Nevada. And it makes these insects, these giant ants, mutants. And it's just, you know, the special effects back then, you got to remember this is the early 50s. As kids, seeing that as a movie when I was 8 years old, and that noise that they made when they were coming, you know, it was like, this is where Jaws got all of its, you know, tips on how to make the movie. Everything was done with them. It's, you know, you didn't see the creature for a while. You heard him before you saw him, and it built up a lot of tension, good action. But the thing I remember most as a kid was seeing these stars with the bubble goggles on. Now, these bubble goggles, I thought were the coolest thing. When I was a kid, I was like, wow, that looks so... What are those things? And they were in a few science fiction movies. So when I started riding motorcycles at a young age, those are the bubble goggles. J.C. Whitney used to sell them. Motorcycle shop here by Shea Stadium used to sell them. I used to, you know, every year you'd go through a pair. They'd get scratched up, whatever you buy. They were cheap, you know, a couple dollars. And I always wore those. Those are the bubble goggles I wore when I used to ride my motorcycle and do this and do that. And even when I went skydiving, I wore those bubble goggles, believe it or not. And it was just something I always liked. And the funny thing is that today, those inexpensive bubble goggles have become quite collectible. So if ever you're out in the flea market and you see a pair of those, pick them up. Because even used, they get a good amount of money. So I was shocked about that. And I said, boy, if there was a company that would remake those, they'd probably do pretty well. They're inexpensive, polycarbonate, easy to make. I don't know. Bubble goggles, remember them? How cool James Whitmore looked with that machine gun. Or, you know, when he was shooting at the giant ants with the bubble goggles on. Something that stays with you, right? Okay, first up, I just wanted to do a quick shout out for this type of tool. If you have them or if you see them, they usually come in sets of 2 or 3. They're inexpensive. You know, you can buy good ones of these. I'm sure some high-end companies make them, but usually for under $20, you can get a set of 3 of these, and maybe for $15, you could get a set of 2 like these are. Always try and get ones made in Taiwan if you can, but sometimes they're made in China. And what these are, they're long-reach pliers, okay? Double-jointed pliers. You can see here, instead of having 1 joint here, they have 2. And how these work is, as you can see when you open it up, you can see the action here. And it doesn't give you any extra leverage or anything. It's just what it is. It's full long reach. And I have to tell you something. These things have come in handy. And not so much for tool things, but you'd be surprised. Sometimes you'll drop a nut behind a small area or something. You can't turn the object upside down. You got to get in there. You take this like this. You could reach all the way. And that's why they remain small here. And you could still open it up and get whatever you have to and pull it out. These are one of those things like a magnet on a stick that until you need it, you don't realize how handy they are. But if you don't have one, you know, then you're trying to do something else. So if you should see these, Harbor Freight sells them, a couple places sell them. Believe me, pick them up. You won't regret it. If you use it once or twice, it'll save you. It saved me a dozen times. I've been using it a lot lately. Just want to throw that out there. The other day, we talked a little bit about brooms, and a lot of people responded well to that. But I had a couple questions about, you know, when is it too far gone? If this is when I'm on my walk, I tell you, I pick up some brooms if I see, because I use the handles for so many different things. A lot of times, they're a thick handle, and they're usually straight grain, depending on when, and usually heavy duty. So this broom here would be considered one that's shot. I mean, it's the end bristles are gone. This is shot. So we're going to cut this off here and save the handle. However, this one here is savable. You can see here, it's curved. And the reason it's curved is because somebody stored it when it was wet. Now, how do you fix this? Well, what you do is you take a bucket of hot soapy water and dip it in the hot soapy water until it relaxes the corn fibers of the husk, and it'll open up, and then you hang it and let it drip dry. I'll show you how that comes out. Some hot soapy water. Again, we're going to put this in here, and this is also a way to clean your broom, but we're going to put this in here and let those bristles get good and relaxed. It's as hot as you can get that tap water, and let that sit in there until the bristles become soft and fluffy. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes, and it's, again, the hotter the water, the quicker this will work. But now look here. You see that broom is pretty much straight, no more curve to it, okay? Now, if it did have a little bit of a curve or something you want to take out, you can always clamp a piece of wood or whatever. But what we're going to do is we're going to hang this up and let it, we're going to rinse it out first, because this is, like I said, soapy water. And then we're going to hang it up and let it drip dry like that. Okay, now that the broom is straight and dry and clean, now you could do this. Now, again, like I said, this is a toss-away broom, but I want to show you how you could save a broom that was in that kind of condition. Now what you want to do is any stray strands that you might have, you could take a pair of diagonal cutters. You could cut, you know, trim it up. Any of the loose strands like this, you could cut off. And for the edges, now there's two ways you could do it. You could take two flat boards, squeeze it together and cut it that way. There's a dozen ways. You're just trimming it. In the broom industries, they have machines that will cut it down, almost like a paper cutter, you know. And but you just cut this straight across, try and get the average and cut it right around here. I'm going to be using some industrial scissors. You can see here how it cuts like that. You know, these cut off real easy. You can also use tin snips. Snips aren't only for tin, but they just don't open very wide. But you can see how they make easy work of cutting this flat, you know, especially if you have a sharp pair. But you can just get this flattened out, and then let me show you how it works. Okay, now you see we got this broom back in shape here, and you can see here it's got a nice flex to it, and it stays together when you're sweeping. This is good for smaller areas or corners. Sometimes you want to get in corners or something. This broom will do the job, and now you just like saved a broom that would have normally been in the trash. So if ever you leave your broom or you sweep something wet, it gets curved up where you don't think you could use it anymore, just straighten it out with the hot water technique, and also trim it up and clean it. You should need to do that. You've really got to maintain these corn brooms every so often. Okay, next up, we did a padlocks last week. We cleaned up a few. I went to the lock show. And a good friend of the show by the name of Budidra, I don't know if I'm saying it right, Budidra? So anyway, Bud wanted to know, he said, of all the locks that you have, you know, which one gives you the most mechanical satisfaction? And there is a great satisfaction when you open and close a quality padlock, or just a well-working, well-oiled padlock. And which one? And I said, you know, that's a great question. I said, I'm just going to pick a couple of them, but you will not believe what my favorite is. You know, with all the antique locks I have and everything, you won't believe. So let me show you this one here. Now, this one here is a Master number 40, but Abus makes one of these. There's a bunch of companies that make this here. And listen to this. This is one of my, I always liked that. Even as a kid, I always liked these discus locks, you know. And, you know, they're just, I like them. I like the way they sound. the way they operate. So that's up there with one of the tops. This one here is a military lock, and it's made by Sargent and Greenleaf. You can see here the patent number. And this is what they used to use to lock up nuclear silos, believe it or not. And you can see here, this one's made in 1976. The lock weighs a ton. It's solid, heavy-duty steel. This one here, I've showed this before on the channel. When you put the key in here, this one doesn't pop open because there's no spring, but you turn it like this, and listen to this. You see? That has very satisfying feel to it. Super heavy duty, right? Now, you're not going to believe what my favorite is. You're going to say, wow, he's got all these locks. This one here. This is a modern master Magnum padlock. Now, you can see here, they rate this as their number 10 for cut resistance. Now, you got to, and weather resistance. Always remember one thing. Now, you'll see a lot of people tear these down. They say, oh, they're easily pickable. Only 2%, that means 98 out of 100 locks that are, you know, broken into are disabled mechanically, cut open, broken, whatever. Nobody picks a lock. So you can go out and get a really, you know, pick-proof lock. It don't matter because once they came out with the battery-operated whizzer wheel, you know, grinder with the disc on it, that made all locks, you know, easily broken into. So, you know, what you want something that's going to stop them from mechanically getting through more than picking. Forget about the picking. There's only a few guys out there that can pick a lock, especially under pressure. So you'll never see a bicycle thief with a pick set. So anyway, this one here has a boron carbide shackle. And it's warded, but it's covered with stainless steel. It's a strange lock, but when you put your key in here and open this one, it's so smooth, opening and closing. When you feel it, this one here is my all-time. When I first got this lock, and it comes looking like this, like I said, and they're readily available. When I first got this lock, I couldn't believe the action, and I was playing with this thing for some time. It's still to this day. So that one is my favorite. Just thought I'd throw that out there as far as mechanical satisfaction in using. Okay, next up, I know a lot of you like to know if I saw anything on the Poor Man's Flea Market, and I have a couple clips I just want to get off the phone so I could clear it up for tomorrow. Let me show you some of the things that were thrown out on the Poor Man's Flea Market. Okay, this first clip is from a couple weeks ago, actually, but this is a corner hutch, and there's the glass shelves that go in this corner hutch here. You can see here how it's made. It's probably a pine and early American finish. All the glass is intact, no dents, no scratches to speak of, and this would fit into the corner of a room. Beautiful little piece. I didn't take it, of course. And for those of you like my buddy Wireworks, a big Harley Davidson. Right? This would have, look at this. This is a cute little thing, huh? I would have rode that home if the battery wasn't dead. And next up, remember, I found 3 of these in the past couple months. This is that projection screen from the 60s and 70s. And last up, look at this beautiful lawnmower. And you can tell it's in great shape because of the shape of the deck and especially the shape of the wheels and the tread. There's nothing really worn off there, but what a beautiful lawnmower thrown out in the garbage. Okay, so in closing, you could see that lawnmower was a nice find, huh? And Scout Crafter Red, no less. And, you know, I subscribe to a couple small engine mechanics that do lawnmowers and weed whackers, things like that. One of them is Donnie Boy 73. He does a great job. He's been doing it for many years. And my favorite is Hester 781, who's a member of our group. Great guy. So check out his channel. If you like doing those kind of small, fixing those engines, he fixes all kinds. But if you're in the area tomorrow, Bangor, Pennsylvania, remember, we will be there. I'll have a link in the description of the website. But Jacktown, you won't regret it. And like I said, we're there from sunrise until noon. And it runs both Saturday and Sunday. I think you'd really enjoy it if you can make it. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you have a great weekend. Take care now. Bye-bye.